You might have tangled hair, but chances are your hair isn't literally uncombable. And in the pantheon of rare physical features, that's nothing compared to people with extra fingers and toenail-less toes. Let's look at the rarest body features a person can have. When someone's asked to swear an oath with a hand over their heart, we picture the right hand placed over the left side of the chest. For 99% of people, that's absolutely fine. That's where the heart is located. However, this isn't universally true. When the heart is located in the right side of the chest, this is called dextrocardia, and Healthline says that while no one's really sure what causes it, experts have found that it happens early on in fetal development.
I was born this way.
People with dextrocardia can live perfectly ordinary lives, though they may on occasion suffer some side effects like breathing difficulty and immune system compromise. In some cases, organ function may be impaired, causing things like jaundice and exhaustion, and may need surgical intervention to correct. Occasionally, dextrocardia exists alongside another super rare condition called situs inversus. This is when it's not just the heart that's on the wrong side of the body, but all of the organs are flipped in a sort of mirror image of what they typically are. Most of us take our fingernails and toenails for granted, but there is a rare condition called anonychia congenita, which is the absence of some or all of either sets of nails. The National Library of Medicine's Medline Plus says it's not clear just how common the condition is, just that it's unusual. Research published in Indian Dermatology Online Journal goes a step further and says that when the lack of nails occurs alone without any other abnormalities, it's extremely rare. So what's going on here? The condition results from a mutation in a gene that controls the manufacturing of a protein called respondin-4, and the same gene plays a role in managing body tissue and cell development. It's involved in the development of our arms and legs, and it's extremely important when it comes to the way the fingertips and toes form. Sometimes mutations in the gene block the production of certain proteins, which results in an absence of toenails or fingernails. A person can be a carrier for the gene, but it requires inheriting 2 copies of the mutated gene for the abnormality to manifest, adding to the rarity of the condition. Indian Dermatology Online Journal describes Piebaldism as a rare autosomal dominant disorder of melanocyte development. You might have seen a person with Piebaldism before if you know Nadine Breedy from TikTok, but what the heck does this condition mean? A person with Piebaldism has patches of skin and/or hair that don't have any melanin, which is what gives color to hair and skin in normal individuals. As a result, these patches of skin or hair are lighter than other areas and are sometimes completely white. According to Medline Plus, about 90% of people who have Piebaldism have a white streak of hair at the front of their scalp. It's also common to see white eyebrows and eyelashes, along with non-pigmented patches of skin on other parts of the body. There's another condition that causes a similar non-pigmentation of skin, and that's vitiligo. Vitiligo, however, develops later in life, while Piebaldism is present at birth and is thought to be the result of mutations in the genes that control the development of melanin-producing cells. Given that only one copy of the mutated gene can cause the pigmentation, it's often passed down from parents. Fortunately, the condition does not appear to adversely affect health.
It's very difficult to brush, it's sore to brush, it's quite matted, that's the only way I can describe it.
In 2022, The Independent reported the story of Caitlin Samples, a woman from Georgia who had been sharing photos of her son on social media. It was in July of 2021 that a stranger reached out to let her know that his wild, white blonde hair was actually indicative of a rare condition called uncombable hair syndrome. It's also called spun glass hair, and that name pretty much sums it up. The condition develops in children between 3 months and 12 years old, but usually becomes less noticeable with age. It causes frizzy and dry hair that can't be combed flat, grows out from the scalp in all directions, and is usually either bright blonde or silver. According to Medline Plus, it's caused by a gene mutation that causes hair to grow in unusual shapes. While most people have hair that's cylindrical, those with uncombable hair actually have strands of hair with cross-sections that are triangular, heart-shaped, or even flat. Samples' son, Lachlan, is a very rare individual indeed. There are only 100 confirmed cases of the condition. Polydactyly, having extra fingers or toes, isn't terribly uncommon. Estimates on the prevalence of the condition vary. Imperial College London suggests that it happens in as many as 1 in 500 births, while Healthline estimates that the rate is closer to 1 in 1,000. There are different types of polydactyly, and here's where things start to get into the rare territory. The majority of polydactyl patients have surgery as children to remove the extra fingers or toes. However, some people keep their extra digits, and in some cases, the condition has become a natural part of a patient's life.
I have to buy 2 gloves, cut 1 finger from glove, put in another, so I can have a 6-finger glove.
Hypertrichosis is the name of a rare condition that results in excessive hair growth over a person's entire body. Strangely, although it's considered a genetic disorder, it's not always present at birth. Some of the 50-odd individuals diagnosed with the condition only developed it later in life in what researchers call a spontaneous mutation. According to Live Science, these can be caused by things like malnutrition and autoimmune diseases. There are several different types of hair that might start to grow, and researchers have actually traced the condition to extra genes on the X chromosome that essentially overload the body's genetic instructions for hair growth. Individuals with hypertrichosis have throughout history been exhibited in traveling freak shows. The Human Marvels tells of people like Alice Doherty, who was known as the Minnesota Woolly Girl. When she was born in 1887, she became the first known American to have the condition. Many similarly exploited individuals would share this fate in the decades that followed. When it comes to the rarity of hair and eye color combinations, there's one that's the rarest of all, being a blue-eyed redhead. Why? According to Medical Daily, this particular combination is rare for two reasons. First, each trait is relatively rare by itself. Red hair is found in somewhere between 1 and 2% of the population, while only about 17% have blue eyes. Both traits are also recessive, which means that a person would need to inherit the redheaded genes and the blue-eyed genes from both parents. Reader's Digest did the math and found that roughly 0.17% of the world's current residents are both redheaded and blue-eyed. It's so rare that the University of Melbourne actually did a deep dive into the possibility that the color combination was going extinct. Evolutionary biologist Mark Elger says that it's unlikely, though, as even though the genes don't always manifest because of their recessive nature, they're still being carried and passed along to future generations, as evidenced by people like TikToker Larson Thompson. Richard Gunderman, a professor of medicine at Indiana University writing for The Conversation, says that dense bones aren't unusual, but dense bones usually become brittle and easily broken in a condition called osteoporosis. Interestingly, research has isolated a few unique families that have bones that are not only dense, but also incredibly strong. The phenomenon came to the attention of the medical community when one man was in a car accident that should have left him little more than a bag of broken bones. When he walked away, though, X-rays showed that not a single bone was fractured. Further investigation revealed that his bone density was about 8 times that of a normal person, and still further study led researchers from Yale to the realization that it was a trait that had been passed down through the family. Those who had the rare feature were obvious at a glance, as they also had very square-jawed faces. Members of the family reported side effects. They were incredibly bad swimmers because they would sink, and hip replacement surgeries failed because doctors couldn't penetrate their bones. Strangely, science says that there's another family with incredibly strong bones, but theirs come coupled with curly hair and brittle teeth. It's called trichodento-osseous syndrome, is present in just a few thousand people, and it was traced back to one person, a Scottish sea captain who emigrated to the US when it was still a British territory. Is there a physical feature that allows people to get by on just a few hours of sleep every night? Yes, says Scientific American, and it's a genetic mutation on a gene named DEC2. This mutation was studied in 2009 when researchers from the University of California, San Francisco looked at a mother and daughter who both had the DEC2 mutation and who felt well rested and absolutely fine with just about 6 hours of sleep a night. With most people needing between 7 and 8 hours, that's 6 hours a night usually comes with ill effects felt after just a few days. With the genetic mutation in place, though, they were fine.
I am awake.
Sorry to burst the bubble of everyone who would absolutely love to be able to do this, but it's estimated that only about 1% of the population has a desirably abnormal DEC2. And here's the thing. According to the National Institutes of Health, it's unlikely that this single mutation tells the full story, and more contributing factors may be discovered. In 2004, National Geographic reported on a series of studies that looked at groups of people living in high-altitude environments where the oxygen is much thinner than what most people are used to. They found that each group had physically adapted to help them thrive in these inhospitable conditions. People living in the Andes Mountains of South America have developed red blood cells with the ability to carry much more oxygen per cell than normally observed, and that makes their entire circulatory system much more efficient. Meanwhile, those living in Tibet have adapted in a different way. Not only do they breathe more frequently to better oxygenate their blood, but they've evolved expanded blood vessels to better pump this oxygen-rich blood throughout their bodies. According to the National Health Service, there are 36 different blood groups and 8 main blood types. The latter consists of the familiar-sounding ones like O, A, B, and AB positives and negatives. But let's talk rare. Among this group, the rarest is AB negative. Just 1% of the population has this type of blood, though that's actually pretty widespread compared to some of the other types. The NHS says that of their 830,860 donors, Sue Olds from Cornwall is the only one with a -D- blood type. There's also a single person with KL negative and one with HY negative, but the NHS claims that it's the -D- that's super valuable, as it can be given to a wide range of recipients with no side effects. There's also what MedicineNet calls the golden blood type. It's more scientifically called the Rh-null blood group, and with fewer than 50 people in the world having it, and only 9 of those people regularly donating it, it's the rarest blood type of them all. What makes that blood type different is that there are no Rh proteins on the red blood cells, which makes them a universal donor. Though this is great, it comes with a huge problem. Anyone who has Rh-null blood can only receive a blood transfusion from another Rh-null person, and given how rare they are, it's a physical feature that could very quickly become deadly.